We're going to make it through this. Okay. We're live.
We are. We got this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Bright Side of Life. I am your host, Melissa Bright, and this week I am so excited because I am interviewing a personal friend of mine. His name is Nick Holman, and he is an extremely talented artist. And what's crazy is he started pursuing art the year that him and I met, which was in 2015. Him and I worked at a restaurant together in St. Louis, and I just lost my train of thought. And when I saw his work in 2015 and he said that he was self-taught, I was absolutely blown away. Now, here we are 6 years later, and Nick is absolutely killing it in the art world. I won't spoil it yet, but Nick's work has been noticed by some people that you have probably heard of. So why did I have Nick on my podcast? Nick is someone that I have watched from afar on social media go after his dreams, and he hasn't stopped. But I also know that journey has probably not been easy, and there's been some hard times along the way. And I want him to share his story of not giving up and how he has stepped into Nicholas Holman, the artist. So without further ado, Nick, welcome to the Bright Side of Life. How are you doing this morning?
Hi. I'm doing so well. Can't complain. I've got my cappuccino, so life is good.
Yes, I love it. And so I'm just going to point this out right now. I have a little bit of a cold, so I sound a little bit different. So we might have, some sneezes and sniffles and coughs along the way, but we're in that season.
That time of year. Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we're virtual, so it's just like you can be so germy and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. So when you sent me your bio yesterday, and I did not even realize this, but you are a third generation artist from your family. And when I met you in 2015, I know you were just starting to get into it. So can you tell me about how you finally decided to pursue art, or was it just that art pursued you? Tell me that story.
Yeah, it's not the latter. You would have thought that I had more of an artistic childhood, and I think my mom would loves to argue on this point. I don't remember it being that artistic. My mom's a painter. I remember watching her paint, and she used to paint these really beautiful, like Victorian buildings, and just really pretty. And then my grandma, she's a painter and a sculptor and all this stuff, and she retired as an art teacher.
Okay.
And then my grandpa, he was a woodworker. So he taught me how to like use a lathe and make pins and bowls and all this kind of stuff. I did that. I did the woodworking more than I did like any painting and stuff. So, so there was art, but it wasn't like that much. Finding art for me was total self-discovery. It's actually weird how it started, and in hindsight, I'm so glad I didn't go through with this. But I got this random, hair up my ass that I was like, I'm gonna draw my own tattoo. And one thing I guess anyone should know about me is that when I have an idea, there's pretty much no one that's gonna talk me out of it, and I'm gonna go through with it. Um, I'm just like gonna see what happens. I don't really like question myself very often, and as we go into this conversation, I think that's just a huge part of my success. Like I don't doubt myself almost ever. Anyway, so that like started my act of drawing. So I started drawing flowers and really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is fun. And like, I'm not like horrible. They weren't great. Like I'm glad I don't have them tattooed on my body. But then I picked up watercolors, and it's just so wonderful, and I loved it. And I had some ideas, so I just like literally since that moment I haven't stopped, but like in that little time frame, I just was watercoloring everything. And it's weird because even though they were bad, I was already trying to sell them. Like already my business mind was there. And I think that's one thing most artists don't have is I have just as much of a business brain as I do artistic and creativity. And I think most artists are just like, but how do you sell? It's like, well, you have to you have to tell people what you do, like first and foremost.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so then, yeah, so then I just was doing watercolors, and then one time I tried this combination. It's called like ink and wash, where it's like you watercolor and then you ink over it with like really fine lines.
Okay.
And that moment was like an epiphany for me. I was like, this is why I'm here. It literally was the definition of an epiphany. Like this was my purpose. And at that point I was living in Florida and I was like, I have to study this. Like what do I do? What do I do? And
Yeah.
I found an art school an hour away. I did no further research besides that. And it was a private art school. I don't know why I thought I could do that, but again, I don't doubt anything. And so I had to get my portfolio together, which was weird, right? Like I've never drawn from life. I like drew my foot and I've never done that before. And then I got accepted and I learned so much. I'm sorry, I'm like going a lot further than you asked me, but
It's okay. No, it is totally okay.
get me on a podcast and I'm not gonna shut up.
Yeah. That well, we land in Florida, so we're good there. Um, okay, so we are gonna back up a little bit to the
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
So my boyfriend actually wanted to ask you this question, and it was a really good question because I didn't think of it. Do you feel? Let me find the question in front of my face.
Yeah.
Do you think that to be an artist, it takes a certain amount of natural ability, or can it be
Mm,
all learned or taught, self-taught?
okay. I think there are two sides to that coin, right? I do firmly believe that art can be a learned skill, right? So if I told you to draw a cube, your first one's not going to be great. But then I tell you to draw a cube every day for 30 days, and you get a little bit more instruction on each cube. Like by the end of that, you're going to know how to draw that. You're going to know how to render. You're going to understand shading just a little bit. So, like in that regard, it is a learned skill. I
Mhm.
firmly believe that. I think um, there can be a system to it. Like I know some painters, and they approach like their portraits in the same way, in the same fashion. This is how they mix colors, and it's mathematical, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't think like that. I think that's where like the artistic like uh, innate part comes in. Like I have the knowledge, that's really helpful, but then I also am just a creative, artistic person.
Right.
So I think you can be one of either. The main thing on either side of that spectrum is just like the level of obsession, right? Like
Okay.
this is all I do, this is all I think about, this is my escape, this is my therapy, this is like everything. I'm thinking about it all the time. So
Yeah.
like that puts me into a different realm than people are like, oh yeah, like I'm artistic, but, and it's like, no, but like this is literally my life, you know?
Right. Yeah. And
So,
that makes such great sense because when I used to write poems all the time, and I thought about going to school or taking classes, I guess, for like poetry or something. And I felt like the second that I was told that it was going to be my homework and I had to write about a certain subject in a certain way, a certain type of poem, like I was
changes
no
things.
yeah, I was no longer interested because just much like you're artists, like I don't want to take my creative mind out of there. So even if it's not the correct way, the mathematical equation to paint this, I don't
Hmm.
care. Isn't that what like makes it feel
I
awesome?
I actually, it's funny that you bring up like that scenario. I had someone, I get a lot of messages, right? Like I think I'm very approachable on social media, which I like. Like I
Yes.
want to be that person if you have questions. I don't respond to all of them, but I had this one girl, she was asking me like, I want to get better. I want to learn more. I want to do more, but I'm scared that the education is going to take like the art from me. And I thought that was so interesting to like be so consciously aware of that and then like ask me about that. And my answer to that is yes, that can happen, right? But being more skilled only gives you more freedom to put these ideas that you have on paper. So like but you have to be conscious of like not losing that, right? Like,
Yeah.
but like if you are a better draftsman, these weird ideas that you have because you're an artist, well, now you can actually get those down. But if you're
Right.
just struggling, then you're just frustrated because you can't get these ideas down. And like that's not a fun place to be. Like you like your mind has the idea, but your hand can't create it. That's
Yep.
so frustrating, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't I mean writing's different because like there is way more of a formality to it, but
Right.
like I just don't think that knowing more like will take away from you.
Right. And that's such a good point to kind of like turn it the other way. Like, well, let me
Yeah.
change your thought process on this a little bit because da 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 da. It actually could now there's principles and it can actually take you further. So um I love that you said that. Okay, so you're in Florida now. Did you have goals or did you have a goal in mind for your art at that time? Like, I want to be able to do art full time, or what was it like for you? Or have you had just this one vision and you have just ran with it from day one?
So this is 2015 we're talking. I'm like 21, maybe 22, and I don't have a goal. I just knew at that point it was all I did. I was painting so much. I was like finding ideas. I would soak it up and then spit out my own version of it. And I was like, I guess I did have a goal because I had a gallery show like at a coffee shop before even art school was a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just was so driven, but I've never been like end goal driven. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, I just want to be an artist. But back then, was I thinking about that? No, because I was serving and I've always enjoyed serving. I was
Yeah.
working at a beach bar. And then I was just, because I was serving, I had the freedom and the money to just dive into art more and more. Um, it's weird though. You would think that I would have been following like a bunch of tutorials and stuff because like YouTube has thousands, but I never did that. I don't know why. I think I've literally done like one or two back in the day, but I don't. I just like I was just like painting. I was just like
Yeah.
doing things. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I don't know. I was business driven a little bit, you know,
Right.
because I already sold stuff in Missouri. Now I'm in Florida, so I think I had even more of an eye and I was getting better,
Mhm.
but I wasn't like end goal. Like people when they go to school, they're like, this is my end goal. I think
Right.
art is just very different.
Yeah. Did you did you feel that you had something? Were you like I don't even want to say from a cocky standpoint, but were you like, I'm pretty decent at this given I didn't have that much education? Not that you have to have education to be an artist. That's not what I'm saying. But were you
Yeah,
yourself
I know what you
impressed
mean.
by what you could do?
Um, yes and no. It's weird. I sometimes just it's honestly something I talk about in therapy. I'm so just in to things and in the moment that I very rarely stop and like actually look at what I'm doing. Um, so like I wouldn't look at I don't know. I'm confident, so I'm like, oh yeah, like these look good. I was painting a bunch of like fruits and stuff, and then I was like painting with coffee because coffee is like watercolor, and I don't think I was consciously saying to myself, like, oh, these are pretty good. Look at what you can do. But I knew that they were because I was like already trying to have markets and like trying to sell and like being confident enough to share them on social media and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I don't think I was like, oh, look at look at this. This is good. I don't
Yeah.
really I don't have those very often. I had one
Yeah.
recently where I was like, whoa, I can't believe I painted that. So
And and that's just crazy. So for you guys that are listening and not driving at this point, if you guys can please just go look at his stuff on social media or on his website. It's Nicholas Holman, right? Art.com.
yeah.
Okay, so
Uh, so no,
NICHO.
no, no. So that's not my website. Website
What's your
is
website?
nicholasmholman.art.
Okay.
So,
You need to go look at his stuff because
or
like
social media works, you
or
know.
social media works too, but
That's
his stuff
honestly
like
my My social
Yeah,
media
go
is
ahead.
way more up to date than my website.
Okay,
So just
like
Nicholas
TikTok.
Holman art in all facets.
Yes, TikTok, go there, which we will talk about in a minute. But like, you guys have to see his artwork. He is ungodly talented, and I'm not a person that has ever been huge into art. Like, I'm gonna not lie, but his stuff is amazing, and the way that he brings it to life and brings you on this journey, you just love it. So, if you just want to kind of get an idea of what he is painting and like, without putting a so you can put a picture to like what the hell we're talking about. Just go look at all
Right.
of his stuff now
This
while you're listening.
that's what I do when I meet new people. They're like, "Oh, so what do you," it's like the American question. What do you do?
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Well, I'm an artist." And they're like, "Oh, well, like what kind of art?" And I'm like, "You know what? I just need to show you. I'm not going to describe how I put eggs on things or how I paint naked people or like how I paint Bernie Sanders. Like
right.
just need to see it basically."
Yes, I agree. So now that you guys have looked at that, now we kind of know where we are.
Now we know what we're
Okay,
dealing with here.
exactly.
I'm not a
Exactly.
fraud.
So you go from Florida and then to Arizona for a brief time,
Mm,
correct? This is
yeah,
all
because
me
no one,
stalking from social
yeah,
media.
no, yeah, because no one was unscathed from the pandemic, right? So
Yeah.
I dropped out of art school after a year and a half. I guess that's like a big piece. It was too expensive, really. That's just what it came down to. And I just couldn't justify what I was doing. I also had an hour commute each way. I was working full time. And I was also surrounded by 18-year-olds who were going for free, who lived there and would still be late to class. So, like, I learned a lot. This is what I say every time I talk about school. I was the driest sponge in the wettest environment. Like, every word that these people said to me, I was just like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's insane. It's like if you were, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It just, every word they said to me made sense. And I still think about some of the things like word for word, what they said.
Right.
Um, I actually just taught a workshop and one of my professors saw it and they loved, no, 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 it was just a tutorial online. And I used a phrase that he used in painting trees, like stoplight green doesn't exist. And that is what he said to me so many years ago in school. And I still
Right.
use that because, like, you think trees, you think green, and it's like, no, but stoplight green isn't real. Like, that's not a real color in
Right.
nature. Um, so, anyway, school was huge, dropped out. And
Did
then
you sorry
2020,
to interrupt.
yeah,
Did you like regret leaving school? Now do you regret leaving school or you're like this that was just part of my story. I'm grateful I had it, but yeah.
part of my story. Yeah. Because I think dropping out just put a bigger fire under my ass because now I was like, okay, now I need to get better on my own. Now I need to really, that's really when I dove into business and I
Okay.
was like, okay, how can I sell this? What do I need to do? How do I make prints? What do people buy? What don't they buy? Where's my price point? Like I think dropping out was just like, okay, so now I'm decent. Let's like try and start a business. So
Yeah.
2017 is when like Nicholas Holman art started.
Okay.
Um, so no, dropping out, part of my story. I even just spoke at that school. They like hired me to come speak there
Aw.
virtually. Um, and as hard as it was not to talk about, I talked about me dropping out a lot.
Yeah.
And it was one of my teachers that I've become friends with. Dr. Keener, and she's like, "All right, Nick, we're gonna not talk about dropping out as often." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like, it's a thing, and if you're feeling that, write it. Don't be terrified of like, oh no, I'm not gonna get a degree." And it's like, well, you don't need one. First of all, you
Right.
know, no
Right.
one looks at that piece of paper and it's like, "Ooh, you are a valid artist." Like not in this realm.
I did not
Um,
ask you if you had a degree before I bought your artwork, nor did I care.
Right, right. I do have an associate's degree that I learned nothing at. Um,
Oh,
so
that's
yeah,
great.
dropped out, lived in Florida for a bit longer, and then I really was craving more. So I was looking into ateliers, which is when you're an apprentice to a master. So I started touring the country, and I went to Pennsylvania, Seattle, and then I found one in. There's 67 in the country that are accredited by the um, what is it? Art
Art
Renewal,
Institute.
ARC. It's Art Renewal
Yeah.
Center. It's like the
Okay.
art law. I get is a weird way to
Okay.
put it, but um, so you have to you have to go through a thing to like be declared like a master. It's weird. Uh, yeah,
Art
it's a
lingo.
whole
It's
thing.
fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I found one in Arizona. It was the most affordable. I also kind of wanted to live there, so um, we moved to Arizona for this atelier. I was going to be an apprentice to a master, and then this little thing called COVID showed up 2 weeks after moving 3,500 miles with 5 animals. You know, good time. So I got to study all for all of like 1 month, and then the school closed forever. Like not even temporarily, it closed forever.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
it's very small, right? Like it's just him and then a couple of apprentices. All the apprentices dropped out, right? Because we're in a
Yeah.
pandemic. So then
Right.
he's like, I'm closing the school.
Right.
So, my reason for being in Arizona was gone, even though we loved it. I loved it, I would say. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I was like, all right, well, we're gonna go home, which home is St. Louis. So that's how I ended up coming back here, which was very hard for me. I never wanted to come back home. And then almost simultaneous, I know that sounds so bad, but like if you're from St. Louis, like you know what I'm talking about. Um, you just like, especially if you're gay, you just like want to get out. Um,
Yeah.
and then I did. And then she said, mm-mm, you're gonna come on back home. Uh, and then it was weird. It was like almost simultaneously as coming back home, I had my first video go viral. And I just think that that was the universe saying, like, you don't have, like, you can do this in Missouri. You don't
Yeah.
have to be somewhere extravagant. You don't have to be somewhere big. It can happen in Missouri. And then it started happening. Like my
Right.
career was already like I was already an artist, like it was doing fine, but then like that changed things, and like St. Louis got to know me,
Yeah.
and a lot of things happened since then.
Yeah. So, what was your video that went viral? It was on TikTok, right?
Yeah, I was on TikTok and it was me
Yep.
painting the basilica in Central West End, which is so weird. I have no idea why that video went viral because it was just me doing exactly what I do, doing a voiceover, and I'm just like sitting in the road painting. And but literally, so I lived in South County. It's a 20-minute drive. By the time I got home, it was at 25,000 views. And I texted my partner at the time and I was like, I think this video is going viral. And then I woke up the next day, it was at 1 million views. And I had gained like 60,000 followers overnight,
Holy
like
crap.
insane. And
Right.
then the next day it was at like 1.5, next day, and it's like capped right at like 1.8 million. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, because of that, I was in like 3 newspapers, and like St. Louis got to know me, and I had this Etsy sale. Oh my, I've never in my life received so many orders. It was insane. It was insane.
And okay, so this painting is absolutely beautiful. You can see it. I'm sure you can still buy it. Can you still buy it, Nick?
You can still buy it.
Yeah. It was just and like I am watching all this from afar because yes, Nick and I live in the same city, but this man is ungodly busy. So I'm just
I
watching
know.
all this.
Tying
Yes,
me
you are.
down really is hard.
It is.
I also, it's a little too spontaneous where it's
Yeah.
like, I have time now. What are
Right.
we doing now? Like,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
We've been
Um,
trying to do this
a
for
while.
like 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like since you've went viral on the Basilica thing, and I'm like, I need to talk to him now. I need to have a conversation now.
Yeah. Which
But
is
we've
kind of
made it
cool that
happen.
like the timing took a while because like you've developed even more into this podcast and like
Yep.
this has become a thing. So instead of me being like one of your first or second, like now it's like
Yeah.
I don't know, just like it has a name for itself, which is
I
really
totally
cool.
agree. I agree with that. And I now trust the timing. Like I don't get stressed out by it. I've had it
Hmm.
it happened with somebody else and it was such a beautiful conversation that I was so beyond grateful for. So I definitely trust that. But the Basilica thing was incredible. Is this where you really started seeing success in your eyes
Mm.
or
No, because in Florida before I left for Arizona, I was successful. I really was. I was
Okay.
getting commissions. I was painting for businesses. I was doing murals. I was painting in elementary schools. Like, I really was successful then. This was
Yeah.
just another level of success. This was more online and more like you can do this anywhere type of success.
Yeah.
Florida was like very much local, very much supportive. I did markets and I would kill it. Like, and I ended up quitting serving in Florida. So like I had already been doing just art,
Okay.
um, which like was still making more than enough. Like right before I left, I got my biggest commission ever. And I don't normally talk about money, but this one painting was $3,500. And I'm like, I've never
Oh,
in my life would I have
right.
thought someone would hand me 3 grand for a painting. And not that it matters, if there are any artists listening to this does not make this painting less. Wait, this does not make this painting worth any less, but I painted that painting in one day because I'm a quick painter, and that is a part of my style is like how quickly I paint and how loose and impressionistic it is. So
Yeah.
it's just like crazy that that happened, you know. Um,
Right.
so no, I was very successful in Florida. I think
Gotcha.
this was just a different level because now I had an online presence, I had TikTok presence, I got to show my personality. People loved me and my art. Um, and I could just do, I don't know, it was just a sign that I can do this anywhere,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a blonde question because I don't know a lot about art.
Do you say
Commission
blonde?
Yeah, I'm not blonde. Well, I have been
No.
blonde. You've probably seen me blonde before, but
I am
it's a
half blonde,
you
so
are, you're half blonde.
we will go with that.
I love it. What does commissioned art mean? Like, what does that mean? Can you explain that for us non-artists?
Of course. Well, first let me say I don't take on very many at this point. I mean, I feel like people might just, I just have to say that. I don't take
Yeah.
on very many. Um, but a commissioned artwork is basically I'm a customer, I have an idea, I need something painted. I'm going to hire a painter to paint this for me.
Okay.
That's what it
Gotcha.
is. So this person wanted a painting of the Vinoy Hotel, which was this really cool hotel in St. Petersburg. And they like my work. They wanted this painting. They knew what they wanted. They are going to pay me to paint that.
Okay. I
So,
had it all
like pet
fucking wrong.
portraits, you want your dog painted. You're not a painter. You're going to hire a painter to paint your dog,
Okay. That
which
makes
is what I do
sense.
all the time.
Yeah. Okay, I did not have that right at all. Like, I thought it literally well, I didn't know what it was, but I thought it was like you painted something, you make up the price or they bid on it and it's sold for $3,500 or something like that.
Yeah, no, totally
Okay.
different. Totally, it's like I need something this size. I need something with some of these colors in it. I want this to be painted, and this is my budget. Or like I tell them this is my price range. You
Right.
know, like oh, you want your house? I do a lot of house paintings, like
Yes.
nostalgic, like oh, my
Yes.
first home or whatever. And so then that's a commission, right? They send me photos. I send them my price sheet, and then like it's just like a job. It's a paid job.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. My sinuses are getting to me. Okay, so we talked about that you have never really struggled with self-doubt in your work or your ability to become successful. Is there any part that you have struggled with in your art journey that you have had to overcome? And if so, what has that been? Or has it just been smooth sailing the whole
No, I don't want to make it seem
way?
like it's just been smooth sailing the whole time. Those questions are usually harder for me to answer though, because there's not many things that like actually like um stop my journey, right? Like I
Yeah.
hurdles to me are just like I don't know, they don't
Well, s
affect me that much, you know? So I'm gonna give you an answer. I just have to uh think about it a little bit.
Okay, well, while
Um,
you think about it, let me add to this because I am so happy to hear that because I am guilty of having kind of this pessimistic brain. Um I guess this is how I was raised where my boyfriend is such like a problem solver. Let's look at the opportunity and the problem. Let's look at the opportunity where I am usually so focused on the problem. And so for when you say like of course I've had hurdles, but that's not really how I look at that's amazing. Like when you
mhm.
say that, that's what I want to hear from you because I feel like that's how we all kind of need to be in that mindset of they were hurdles, but that's not how I approach them. So whatever
Mhm.
answer you have,
R
you're not going in the wrong way.
Right, right. I know, and it's not a wrong answer. I so you're a pessimist, wired as one maybe. I am wired as an optimist. Uh,
Yes.
like almost anything that can be thrown at me, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I don't see it like at face value, right? Like I see everything else that it could be. I have pessimistic moments, like like a couple weeks ago, I did a market and the entrance fee was like much larger than I normally pay. And
Yeah.
it was a one night thing and it started off really slow. And I was like, oh, you already have the pressure of just trying to break even.
Right.
This was an area in St. Louis that I don't normally do markets in. And like my pessimistic mind took over because it's like money, money is kind of a trigger. It's like,
Yeah.
shit, I paid so much. I have to like at least make that. It ended up
Yeah.
going well. It ended up being fine. And that was a little lesson of like, don't freak out. So I
Yep.
have pessimistic moments, but generally I am wired as an optimist. And I think that's been a big helper for me. Um, okay, so struggles. Um, it's I don't know. It's weird that this is so hard for me, but I would just say it's a struggle in my own like personal life is just like how serious I take things. And I'm
Mhm.
currently it's my mantra right now is like it's not that serious. I literally tell myself that all the time in any regard, in like in dating and like going out in like a market and like painting a video. Oh, like a new tutorial doesn't do that well. Like it's not that serious. Like we're all just here trying to have fun and also live a life and find success and find love. And it's just like, come on, it's not that serious. This is our one
Right.
chance here. We just need to make the best of it. So my current mantra right now is it's not that serious. Um, and okay, so one thing that I do struggle with is being too serious and like working harder than I probably should. Um, like they say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I think it's do what you love and you will never work harder in your life. Because
Yes.
it's all I do. Um,
Right.
so I think that is a struggle, and it's honestly right now in this moment what I'm working on is finding that balance of work, life, and just like rest because I do a lot of self-sabotage where it's like if I'm not working hard enough, I'm doing something wrong. If I'm not if I'm not coming up with new ideas, if I'm hard on myself in that regard of like create, do. This is all up to you. You have to do more. You're not doing enough. So like that's a hurdle because
Ah.
I also have to live.
Right.
Um, so it's like my success is also like my workaholic, not like great habits.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you said all of that because I am such a perfectionist and I'm really hard on myself also. Like I'm constantly thinking of who can I interview? Who do I want to talk to? How can I do my podcast better? How can I make the content more valuable for my listeners? Like it's nonstop always. Like,
mhm,
and I take it super serious also because I want to make this my full time thing. And I eventually had to tell myself that I have to give myself weekends for breaks, like, because
mhm,
my brain cannot be that busy all the time. Because on the weeks, during the weekdays, it is just nonstop. My brain will not shut off.
it's
And
intense.
it gets exhausting. And so I told
Yeah.
myself, you get the weekends, Melissa. Um, Do you feel that
That's
it
where
is
I need to
right?
do that. I see. I don't get the weekends because that's when
I
all the
know.
events are.
Exactly.
Um, but I need to do that. I literally have therapy today, and this is what I'm gonna unpack is like finding this balance because I'm currently in the thick of burnout, and it's not a
Ah,
fun place for me to be. But you know, that's the holiday seasons for an
right.
entrepreneur, really,
Yep.
is just work your ass off. I just like I moved into this new place and I was filled with inspiration, but then I nested so hard and I just am so exhausted right now that
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the thick of burnout. So that's something I'm trying to process and like finding inspiration again. So
Right.
I feel that I totally do.
Yeah. So I guess the question for me that I have is there a certain number? Let's say I don't even know how to ask. I'm trying to ask this in the most, I guess, polite way. But is there a certain number? Let's say, is it money that drives you? Like I have to have $5,000 in the bank before I can even slow down. Like, what makes you not slow down? Or is it like, I just have to create, create, create? I got to get this out of my brain. I'm not saying that you're all money driven, but what is it that makes you not want to slow down?
I will be honest, money is a big part of it. I am money driven. Like the business side of me, it really is heavy. Um, I'm always thinking of new opportunities, new ideas, what is gonna not always, but I am thinking what's gonna sell, what's not gonna sell, what's a new sale I can do, what's a new way I can do this artwork, what's a new deal, what so like money is a big part of it, right? Like this is all up to
Yeah.
me. I'm an entrepreneur. Like right now in the holiday season, I can't stop because I know after Christmas, it's just not going to be the same for a few months. You know,
Right.
like
Yep.
now's the time. So I'm about to release this whole pet portrait thing. And yeah, I'm exhausted, but it's like, I have to. This is where I'm at. This is what I have to do. Um, aside from that, um, when I'm inspired, I can't do anything else but that. So, like, I had this really amazing night with someone under the arch, and we were like laying directly under it. And it's really, if you've never done that at night, go directly under it
Go
and
do
lay
it.
down. It's like this weird illusion, and it looks like it really could be going into space when you're directly under it.
Yeah.
Um, and then we were walking around the city, which like downtown, which I don't do that often, but there was not a single human in existence. It was literally as if me and this other person owned the city. And we were
Right.
like talking about like magic doors and like would if this opened, would you go in? And we were both just like, yes. And I got the next day, I got so inspired by that experience that I had this idea. I'm literally like grabbing paper and sketching out thumbnails, and it's like an itch that is so intense in my head.
Right.
And then I just left, went to a coffee shop, and spent the whole day there and fleshed out this entire piece because I could not do anything else until that came to life.
Right.
And now that's one of my like favorite illustrations. I absolutely love it. Um, so that is another part of me not stopping is like when I'm inspired, there is no stopping. It does not matter
Right.
if I'm exhausted or what I have going on, this idea has to get out of me, you know?
Right.
Um, also, I genuinely enjoy creating content. You know, like I love making TikTok videos. I love doing makeup and showing it. I just did a
Yeah.
photo shoot, love showing that stuff. I also know people enjoy it because of the feedback I get. And I
Yep.
love that. I love the connectivity of it. I love educating people. I love inspiring people. I love to show people that they can do it, you know? Like, yeah, I'm a good painter, but like you can do this too, and this is how we're going to go about it.
Yeah.
And I get messages literally on the daily of people telling me that they started painting because of me. This woman messaged me. She's like, "This is my first time on TikTok. I haven't painted in 20 years, but because of your videos, I'm starting." And it's like,
Oh my
that's what,
gosh.
like, big picture, that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not just trying to be an entrepreneur. No, I'm actually inspiring people. And this one girl, she's like a big fan of mine. She's local. She started drawing because of me, and she got into this like little juried exhibit and like got to hang her art up. And she came to my market and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you. You're so inspired." And it's like, that's why I'm here. Like,
Yep.
fuck the money. Like this is bigger. I'm
Right.
making an impact from like my little apartment. I'm inspiring people. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's bigger
Yep.
than anything.
Yeah. And that's what, from me not being an artist, you inspire me. Like from watching your videos and seeing your drive, like I don't want to go paint shit, but I want to go do something and love life
Yeah,
because that's what Nick is doing. Like, can we
yeah.
please talk about, because I didn't even have in my questions, but can we talk about your 6-week road journey that you took to paint
Oh,
all these
yeah.
amazing things?
Well,
How
first,
did
just let
that
me
all
say,
come about? Yeah.
yeah, right. First, just let me say, I think it is important to romanticize everything. Like, I live in a new neighborhood and I can walk to this cute little mailbox and I think it's romantic. Like, I think everything should be romanticized. And like, if you check out my TikTok, that's fully what I do
Yep.
is romanticize everything. Um,
Yep.
oh yeah, so my road trip. Okay, so 3 years ago, I got the idea from another painter where you sell a month of paintings blindly. Okay, so as a customer, you like my work and so the whole thing is it's like a mystery grab bag, but for original art. So you're buying a painting, but you don't know what you're getting. Um, but it is going to be painted in plein air, which means on location or from life. Um, so 3 years ago, I did a set. It was a struggle to sell out, but I did it. So I had an entire month of paintings to do. They were all already purchased, and it was just from people who like me, like my work, and whatever they were gonna get was gonna be like a painting that they wanted, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, 3 years later, I had the idea to take that idea on the road. So I'm like, okay, let's do mystery grab bag, but let's go on a road trip because then it's fully funded. And so I literally got a new car for this. I needed one anyway, but you know, so I get myself a new RAV4 and I work with a friend from high school and we build like this bed unit and like a pull-out kitchen. So I turned my car into a camper and I created a whole video on how I'm advertising this. And my biggest thing was that I just needed some time to paint. I needed, like residencies are hugely important to artists, and like this was my version of a residency. So I called it road trip residency.
Okay.
I'm not going to do anything except paint.
Yeah.
And so I planned out about 6 weeks and I sold every day. I made every day for sale.
Yeah.
So you could buy, say you wanted to buy June 1st. Well, on June 1st, as a customer, you're going to find out what you're getting, where I'm at. You're going to get a TikTok video, an Instagram post. You're going to get a Polaroid of what I was looking at, longitude, latitude, a little bag of dirt from where I was standing, and of course, a painting. So it was a whole deal. You get
Oh
to
my
go
gosh.
on this road trip with me,
Literally,
and
literally.
literally,
Well,
yeah.
not literally, not
And
with you, but on social media.
okay, almost literally.
I know, I was like, "Wait,
Almost
they might be
literally.
confused by that."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I sold out in 3 hours and I had 70 paintings to do just like that. Um, so it was really cool because like my dream has always been for my art to allow me to travel, and I like just did it. I was like,
Yep.
because of my art, I am now going on this road trip, fully funded, more than fully funded, because I didn't want to come home broke. And then I also reached out to a bunch of camping brands, and I got five to say yes. So I got sponsorship from camping gear. You know, I had everything I needed. So I embarked on this solo road trip and just lived my absolute best life.
It was,
So.
oh my gosh, and every single day there was a new video, there was painting. Oh, it was amazing to watch, and I'm so pissed that I did not freaking buy that stuff, but I'm assuming at some point in your life you'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm planning something for this like 2022. I was gonna
Yay.
take the idea to Europe because I know I could sell
Oh,
that too.
yeah.
But I don't think the world is normal enough yet to go to Europe for two
Sure.
months and just paint, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't want to go wear a mask. Like, not that I'm anti-mask. I just don't want, I want to be normal if I'm going to
Yeah.
go do a Europe tour.
Yeah.
Because it
Makes
would
total
be
sense.
like I wanted to start in London and end up in southern Italy and then come home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But it was so
So,
awesome. It was so cool to just see all of that unfold in your journey and to see where you are and what you're painting and him sleeping in his car and like
and cooking
I
breakfast in a crop top. Yes,
yeah.
all of it.
Or how you one of the things that was so funny, like, you're like, "Literally, I'm in a tank top, and it's, like, 30 degrees
It
here."
was
Like
it was insane. So I'm on this highway, like at ground level, I guess, and I'm like, "Oh, I think that road goes to the top of a mountain." I'm literally, I don't even have underwear on. I'm literally just in shorts and a tank top because it was like a breezy, like it was summer, like it was
right,
like
yeah.
75, 80, and I get to the top of this mountain, which is like 12,000 feet, fully 30 degrees, hurricane force winds, and I get out and I'm like, what is this? How is this possible? And to get into my stuff, I had to open my entire gate, and I'm just like, everything is flying around. Like, I'm not kidding. The wind was so insane. So I did an entire outfit change outside because I couldn't do it in my car, and it was just like, it was like, it was traumatic, honestly. It was intense.
Oh, well, I enjoyed watching it. Sorry for the trauma, but it
No,
was
yeah,
fun
it
to
was.
watch.
And I, in little moments like that, I'm just like, I need to record this. Like, I want to bring people along on this like shit show of a journey. Because I
Yeah.
didn't plan anything. Like, I hit 8,000 miles and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know I was driving this far. Like, I still have to get home. So I ended up at 11,000 miles and I had no idea I was going to go that far. I had
Oh
no
my
idea what
gosh.
gas prices were. I had no idea like where I was sleeping. I literally, like, if that sums up who I am as a person, like, that's me.
I love it. I love it. All right, I have to look at my questions because so many of them, like, we've kind of already answered, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So you definitely seem to be a person that has truly found themselves and are living in your true light, if I am safe to assume this.
I would say
How
so.
yeah, how has this all how has this all came to be, and what things have you done or not done to become your true self? And I ask this to inspire other people
Hmm.
for them to be their true selves. So I know I can just tell by the way we talk I know you're genuine. So that's what I want to know.
Yeah, I'm actually super fake.
Yeah. I
None
can
of, this is
totally tell.
this is all a facade. I'm gonna get off of this and like really I'm an accountant. Like I'm just gonna do people's taxes. Actually, taxes stress me out. That is not me.
That is not what I'm doing.
Yeah, no. Okay, so it's been a journey, right? I am very much gay, and finding that part of myself was really hard. So, like, go back to me being 15 is when I was like figuring that out. And growing up in a religious household and growing up with like not even the vocabulary of what I just like, I didn't even know gay as a word. Like, I
Sure.
didn't have, I just, you can't make sense of things without like the vocab to like tell you what it is. Like if you're anxious, but you have never been exposed to the word anxiety, you don't know what that is. Like if you're
Right.
having a panic attack and you don't know what those are, you think you're dying, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's kind of like realizing I was gay. I just like I didn't know what was happening and like why and like I just knew it was wrong and I hated it and I did not accept it very well.
Yeah.
I ended up, accepting that and, kind of finding that moment. It's, uh, you know, growing up like in the Midwest and being gay, you're already fighting an uphill battle. I think that inherently makes you a stronger person because the odds are already against me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I already stand out, and I'm also not one to fit in. So, like, gay or straight, like, I'm not even one to fit in. So
Right.
that just added to the pile. Like I used to work at Steak and Shake in Arnold, Missouri, and I literally could not count how many times I caught people taking photos of me because I just stand out in Arnold,
Really?
Missouri. I mean, I had big hair. I had very large hair back in the day. And it was like a huge pompadour. Like, yeah, I stand out. And I stand out even more now. So like that was nothing.
Right.
Um, yeah, so you already have an uphill battle, and I just think that makes you so much stronger. Um, and I just feel like walking through life has been like I had someone ask me recently, like, how did you find your style, like your aesthetic, like your clothing? Because I care a lot about like fashion,
Yeah.
and I like couldn't even answer that question. I was like, it is so authentically me that I couldn't even guide you in a place of like how you find it. Like I
Right.
wear some weird shit that doesn't make sense, but like it's me and it works, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
Um, and so yeah, I don't know. I just think also having family members that don't support me and having yeah, it's just that uphill battle that I inherently care less and less what people think of me as like life goes on. Like
Yeah.
I firmly believe life is too short to care what anyone thinks of me because that doesn't matter. Literally other people's opinion of me is not my business. It
Right.
isn't. It does not change anything, nor does it matter. Um, and I just think as I've grown up and gotten older, I've just found that more and more. And then last year, I got into makeup, and that has been a really fun part of my self-expression. And for anyone listening, like I'm not doing like beauty makeup, I'm doing like art on my face. That's just the
So
best way to
amazing.
describe it. It is just
Yes.
art on my face. Um, and so that's been a huge part of my self-expression. And then I don't know, I just like if I want to wear it, if I want to do it, if I want to be it, if I want to say it, I just do. And I am unapologetically myself. And I think that's all you can be. And I hope that everyone can get to that point where that's what they genuinely can feel and say.
Yeah. And it's just so amazing to watch you and to see that because I see it on social media. I see your true self and it's so much fun to watch and it makes you like you see everybody that loves you and and is inspired by you. And while you have already said, yeah, there's probably people out there that don't accept me, but I'm not paying attention. Like that's not my
Yeah,
business. I'm over
they
here
don't matter.
focused on
That's
the people.
literally,
Yeah.
yeah, it's literally not my business. Like, I don't, okay,
Yeah.
like, good for
That's
you.
awesome.
I'm
That's
sorry
awesome.
that you don't, you're not
Right.
happy. Basically, that's what it comes down to.
Yes, exactly. Nothing to do with you and everything to do with them.
Yeah, yes,
Yes,
precisely.
exactly. Okay. So we know I was going to ask this question, but we know now. In terms of your goals, have you ever written out a plan of what you want to do? No, he hasn't. Or
I
have you?
have not. Have not. I've written like maybe ambitions, like a five
Okay.
year, like this would be cool, but like, do I follow that? Do I like make a plan? No. Mm-mm.
Good for
I
you.
just say I'm going to do something and I do it. Like the other night, I discovered this gallery in Central West End and I was with my best friend. And I didn't know St. Louis had like galleries to this like level. It was
Yeah.
really gorgeous. And I was just standing there in the window, staring at it. And my best friend was with me. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to be in here. I'm going to have a show in here. And then, like, the next day, we were kind of talking about that moment. And she was like, yeah, but see, the thing is, Nick, like, when you were saying that, like, I'm going to be in it, in my mind, I don't even think about it because I'm already saying, like, yeah, he will be. Like, he is going to be in there. So it's
Right.
just like, I don't know. I honestly, I don't even know where my train of thought was going, but
It's
that's
okay.
a thought that I had. Why did I
Yeah,
just say that?
no. Well,
What
no,
did you ask me?
we were talking about goals. It's okay. I lose. We were talking about
Oh,
like
goals, goals, goals.
goals.
That's how I
Yeah.
like manifest goals of like I
Yeah.
see something and I'm like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how
yeah.
I am
So
though. Sometimes like because if it hasn't happened yet, if you haven't experienced it yet, how do you know what you want to do? Now you've seen that gallery in Central West End, you know you want to be in there now. You couldn't have planned
mm,
that 4 days ago cuz you had never seen it yet,
right, right,
you know?
right.
I love that. I love that. Okay. before we are done, I do have a couple more questions for you, but I
Yeah.
cannot not ask you this question because you have to tell me your story. You have to tell us your story about Dan. It's Levy, right?
I say Levy. I think it's Levy.
Levy, whatever. Dan Levy, Levy. What's your story about Dan?
Dan Levy, the man, the myth, the legend, otherwise known as David Rose
From Schitt's Creek.
from Schitt's Creek. We love this man.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not so much as a connection to him, but the show itself. I love that show. I love that show. I will say it again. Schitt's Creek is like my everything. Um, So I was in my fifth rewatch, as one does, and I decided that I'm like, oh, you know what? I should probably paint this. And so I just painted the Rosebud Motel, made a little video. It didn't like go viral or anything. It wasn't anything special. Um, and a little while after that, I got reached out, or I was approached by this person. I guess she was a publisher, and the email just like didn't say enough for me to like respond. So it took me a month to respond,
Oh,
which is
wow.
totally embarrassing in hindsight. Um, Honestly, because I could have missed this opportunity altogether.
Right.
And then I responded and I was like, "Oh my God, sorry. It was literally as I was on the road trip. I was like, I remember I was messaging her how to spell my name while on this road trip. I just remember that. And I was like, "Yeah, sorry, life's crazy. Can you tell me a little bit more about what this is?" And then
Yeah.
she like word vomited what this was, and it was basically they wanted my painting of the Rosebud Motel to be in this coffee table book that Dan and Eugene Levy were creating. Um, it's a six-part book of basically behind the scenes of Schitt's Creek. Everything and anything Schitt's Creek is in this book. And I was like, oh my God, what do you need from me? Absolutely. Yes. Like, say less. Like,
Right.
I need to be in this book. Um, and funny enough, the painting that they wanted was the only painting as of recent that I did not scan and I had already sold. So
Oh
I
my
didn't
gosh.
even have I know. I scan everything because that's how I make my prints. I don't know
Right.
why this didn't get scanned, but I had this huge studio sale because I was in a pinch and I sold a ton of work, including that. And so I had to reach out to the owner of this painting and I said, "Hey, this painting is about to be in a book. I can't really talk about it, but I need your help. I need you to go get this painting scanned." And so she was so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, in some way, shape, or form, I get to be a part of this. Like, absolutely." So she went to like a bunch of stores, ended up at like an art store and like got it scanned. And so finally, I had high resolution images of this painting and submitted those, all that stuff. So like 6 months later, I get my book, and I knew I was getting a book. I knew it was going to be signed, yada yada yada. I knew nothing else but that. So in the book, Dan Levy not only signed it, he full on wrote me a note. Oh my God, to say I was crying is an understatement. So it's like, "Nicholas, this painting is so beautiful. It's my mom's favorite. How do I buy it?" And then he signed it. And I'm on page 45 for anyone who's wondering. It's a two-pager. I've just, I can't, honestly, I can't believe it. Now this book is a New York Times bestseller. So, like, here I am almost missing this opportunity because I'm just so bad at responding to emails. Um, and now I'm in a New York Times bestseller, and Dan Levy wrote me a note. Um, so unfortunately, I don't actually have contact with him. I don't have his address. I can't send him this painting. I have
Not
tagged him on
yet.
Instagram. Yeah, I know. Fingers crossed. I have tagged him a few times on Instagram, and I he has looked at it, like he has laid eyes on the post and the
Right.
story, but he hasn't like taken the initiative to be like, "Oh, I actually do want this. Like, here's a PO box." So,
Right.
so no, I don't own that painting, and two, Dan Levy does not also own the painting. So I would love to repaint it for him one day, but we'll see.
That is so freaking amazing.
Isn't that wild?
That
And
is
4
so
years
cool.
ago, I was dropping out of art school, and now I'm in a New York Times bestseller.
See? See, guys?
So,
I
yeah,
love it.
crazy,
I love it.
crazy.
That's gonna be the title of this episode.
Yeah,
Okay. No,
yeah.
we couldn't do this episode without mentioning that because I know that's one of your favorite moments thus far in life.
It's
So
yeah, like career-wise, that's like a big moment,
for
honestly. To say I'm
yep,
published and like New York Times bestseller, also like my favorite TV show that has ever existed. Yeah, like
exactly.
I'm
Yep,
good.
that is
Yeah.
so awesome. Okay, if you had to give advice to someone that is currently pursuing their dreams but sometimes struggles to have faith that it'll all work out in the end, what would you say to them?
First, just let me say that I always believe that hard work pays off. I think if you are honest with yourself, like ask yourself those hard questions of like, am I working my hardest? Am I doing my best? Am I really putting in what needs to be put in? Like, if you can answer that honestly, and that's where you're at, I firmly believe that good things happen, right? I
Yeah,
really do. I just think the world pays attention to those who are being authentic and working their hardest. I don't mean slave away, like act, but don't take that too
right.
literally. But like, are you doing your best? Because like that, good things follow. I really believe that.
Yeah,
Um, I I can't say it enough, and I believe this firmly, but I just think anything is possible. I really do. Like honestly, Lady Gaga is a huge inspiration for me. She literally came from nowhere and nobody and is like, look at that. That is hard
right.
work, that is drive, that is determination, you know. Um, Not that I'm at her level, but like I came from nothing. I went to school for a year and a half, like, and now I'm in a book with Dan Levy, like
Right.
I just firmly believe that anything is possible, dreams are attainable, and that you only have one chance to do this. So it's like, why aren't you being unapologetically yourself and like going for this idea? You know, I heard this thing, I don't know where I heard it, but it's basically like, don't save your good ideas for a better time. Like, now's the time to jump on that idea, right? Like, oh, in
Yeah.
5 years, I have this good idea. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm so excited, like, blah, blah, blah. No, like,
Yeah.
your good idea is good right now. Do it. Like, jump
Yeah.
on that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, and it's something that the very first thing that you said was like you have to get honest with yourself because that's where I was for a long time. I just thought that like God was going to show me this sign and then that's what I was supposed to be doing. It wasn't until I asked myself these questions of like what what do you really enjoy doing in life? What is it that you're good at? What do you want to do? Like I had to really get honest with myself and my answer was I enjoy having deep conversations with people. So how can I make that into a career? Um, and now every single day I work my ass off to whatever it is, find guests, to make my podcast bigger, to monetize my podcast, like all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
was in my own way, but you have to take these little steps. But if you don't believe in yourself and then you'll talk yourself out of it, got to have those hard conversations with yourself, like you said. You don't have to be slaving away, but you have to make small, consistent steps
Hmm.
every day to whatever it is that you want to do. Um, and
And my thing too, like don't self-sabotage yourself, like you are capable of doing it. Like
yes,
believe in yourself. Like I I don't know. I just think I just made a TikTok just so you know. That's what I was doing.
I love it.
So the little TikTok moment. Yeah, like don't sabotage yourself. Like come on, be your number one hype girl. Don't be the opposite, you
Yeah,
know? Like
and invest like because I'm good at self-sabotaging, but when I started doing like I've said this so many times on my podcast, I do one thing a day that scares the shit out of me, whether it's like I'm scared to make this TikTok video because I'm going to look like an idiot. Do it and just see what happens. And it
mhm,
shows you that you do these small investments of yourself, that you love yourself enough, care about yourself enough, want to succeed enough that you just do these things that scare you. And now
mhm.
that is one of the best ways that I've shown I love myself is by doing these things that scare me, you know?
Yeah, I think that's crucial. Getting outside of your comfort zone, like that's where good things happen.
Ugh,
Also, like hype yourself up like you would hype up your best friend. Honestly, like
yeah,
think of it like that. Like what would you say to your best friend that was starting a new job or a new career or like wants to dive into entrepreneurship or is going on a date or like hype yourself up like you would hype them up.
yeah,
Like it's just that simple, you know?
yeah.
Be your own best friend.
Great advice. Great advice. Okay. Now we're going to flip it a little bit and we're going to, if you
All
could
right.
give one piece of advice to an artist, what would that advice be?
It is similar, right?
Yeah, of course.
Hard work pays off, honestly. But in regards to art, um, it's hard because you know, you want to sell stuff, right? Selling feels good. Selling is like the most validating thing that can not the most, but it is extremely validating to think that someone is spending their hard-earned money on something that you just created.
Yeah.
Like when you put it on paper like that, it's like so interesting. Like I paint eggs and people buy it. It's crazy. It really is. But with that being said, to the artists, like don't obsess over that. Don't obsess with trends. Don't obsess with like what is going to sell because then you just become like lack for a better term like a sellout, you know, then you're
Yeah.
not creating work for yourself and like that's why we're all here, right? Like Van Gogh, he painted because he had to exist and he sold one painting during his lifetime. Like he was not painting for any other reason except the fact that he had to. So
Yeah.
remember that, remember why you're an artist. You know, I'm an artist first, and like I create things that then speak to people. It's not too often where I'm creating things that I intentionally want to speak to people. You know,
Right.
sometimes I do like St. Louis stuff, it'll sell to
Sure.
St. Louis people. You know, you
Right.
have to have a business side of things. But I do feel like even given that, I'm still authentic to myself and doing what I need to create as well as what might sell well.
Yeah.
So I just think being true to yourself, no matter what it is super important as far as art goes. Also, putting in the hard work. Like, I know, like, my story sounds romantic and it sounds like, oh my God, how do I do that? Like, no, like, I have worked so hard. I have so many bad drawings, so many bad paintings. Like, I I just you have to do thousands of drawings and paintings to get to the point where you can put your ideas on paper. And like
Yeah.
don't give up, don't get frustrated. Like I don't know, I just don't give up. Seriously, it's not easy at all. It is not, but you will get there because hard work pays off and it'll show. Like when I look at my work from 4 years ago, it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. I love what you said about like doing your own unique stuff. Like, of course, do what sells, but like your eggs, obsessed. Like, okay, so these eggs, he paints eggs, fried eggs
Yeah.
on different things. So for St. Louis, he painted them on, was it the Capitol building and the arch?
Yeah, Capitol Building and the Arch. I've done the Bevo Mill. I've done the Amico sign, the
Oh, yes.
Basilica. I've done it all started with the statue of St. Louis. Um, so that's like where it began. But yeah, I put
Yeah.
eggs on things now.
And it's
It's weird how it
amazing.
started. Actually, can I explain that? Because that's like my
Please,
number
please,
one asked
please.
question is like, so what's
Yes.
with all the eggs? And I need to print it out. I tell this story so many times at
Let's
markets.
hear it.
Okay. So I mentioned that I do makeup. If you've looked at my social media, you will see the makeup. Um, Last October, I did this series where I did makeup and then I painted in plein airs, which means on location, outdoors. And on those days, it was my goal for my painting to match my makeup. So one day I covered myself in realistic fried eggs, casual day look, you know, as one does. Um, and then I went to the art museum and I painted the statue of St. Louis. And that was my first time ever adding eggs to things that weren't actually there because I wanted it to match my makeup. And so
Yeah.
that was the thing. And honestly, that is where it started. That painting did so well. And people are like, what is with it? I didn't even get it, but I want it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And so now I just add eggs to things and it's become my staple for sure. Like
Yes.
one of my recent digital illustrations of the, I talked about it previously in the episode of like the arch moment.
Uh-huh.
And it's like space and a magic door. At the very bottom left corner is just a tiny little fried egg. And it's just, I don't know,
Oh my
it's a
gosh.
thing.
I love it. I own one of his that's just the fried egg itself.
Hmm.
And then I own the other one that is it the Capitol building?
Yeah,
I don't
Capitol
remember.
building in the arch. Yeah.
Yes,
Or
I
no,
love
no,
it.
that's the courthouse.
Yes,
Courthouse.
thank you. Thank you.
Courthouse, not Capitol.
No, and I have that
Courthouse.
has eggs on it and I love it. It's in my kitchen. It's just oh my gosh. Like who would
Yeah,
have
it's
thought
fun.
eggs? Like who would have thought fried eggs? I'm
I
telling you.
know,
And
honestly.
it's so cool. It's so cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's
How
weird.
I know we already said this, but since we're getting to the end, how can people find your artwork?
Honestly, I was doing as I was filling out your sheet last night, I've realized that like just searchable. So Nicholas Holman art in Google, you're gonna find things. So
Yes.
because it's Nicholas Holman art everywhere. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Nicholas Holman art, my Etsy, Nicholas Holman art. So it's just Google that and you will find something for Nicholas
Hell yeah.
Holman art. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Nick, I have one last question for you that I ask all of my guests. In
Okay.
your own words, what does the bright side of life mean to you?
Because I'm wired as an optimist, right? This is an
Yep.
easy question for me. Honestly, I just think it's about always finding the silver lining. Like, yeah, something shitty happened, but like there's something good that came out of that. Um, like for me specifically in the last 12 months, 18 months, like so many like my life has been just wild, absolutely wild. And like moving to Arizona and then the pandemic ruining that, like that's really shitty, right? But in hindsight, that was totally meant to be. That was a part of my story. And I think maybe in the moment you don't see it, but everything really does happen for a reason. I listened to this speech from Steve Jobs at one of these colleges, and he was talking about how like life is like a connect the dot puzzle. And right now you're at a dot and like you can't connect to the next one, but when you look back, they really all do connect and make a picture. Because but when you think about the last dot you were at, it probably made no sense and you're like, what is happening? Why is this so hard? You know, like when I was in that dot in Arizona, like losing basically all of this excitement and the pandemic and all of that, it was really stressful. But then like my next dot, and then like now the dot that I'm at now, these pieces line together and are making this picture that literally makes so much sense. You know, it's pushed me in different directions and inspired me in different places. I've met amazing people. I ended up on that road trip. You know, like the dots really do start to add up. So like if you're at a dot right now that's really hard and really challenging, just know it's for a reason and you're just going to become stronger from it. So
I
that's
love
the
it.
bright side.
I love it. And that's like the best analogy. I was going to say cliche and I'm like that's not right. That's the best
Yeah,
analogy I've
analogy.
heard. That's
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah, it really
Nick,
sticks with me.
thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
on my show. I know we've been wanting to have this conversation for a while. I'm
For
so glad
months.
for months, for months, for months.
Yeah.
Guys, please go. I'm telling you, go check out his TikTok. They are so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch. Like, I literally could get just like drowned in your stuff because you're so fun. And yeah.
There's a
So
lot to
go
look
check
at
him
too.
out. Go buy some of his artwork because it's amazing. Coming up with Christmas, coming up on Christmas. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. I'm going to end the broadcast.